Bonjour, y'all. Let me just make sure I think my microphone's on. Hello. Let's see here. Hello, Ty Cobb from Nice. Sherry from Ohio. Bonjour from Costa Rica and Florida. Oh, okay. Let's see. Augie, hello. Sue from New York. Belladora. Bonjour, y'all. Glad you guys could make it. Let's see if we can adjust a little bit of this. Really have to figure out how to get my phone connected to this so I can, so it doesn't look so blurry. I guess it's not very high definition. Hello, Janie. Good evening, or well, good afternoon, probably for you guys. Frey, you gonna come up? You gonna come up so people can see you? No, just gonna talk. Okay, you do you. But, we'll give people a couple of minutes to come on. But, and my notes here. Oh, we got some more people on. Okay, awesome. Jose, hello, 108. Yeah, I think it was 104 here today, but the weather's the heat wave will break on Tuesday. Knock on wood. That then we'll just be in the low 80s, which is where we should be right now. And keeping track of the weather in Lyon and Dijon, they certainly had hot weather as well, but today it was like 83 or 84 degrees. So they haven't had this heat wave yet, or if they did, it was just brief. But let's see who else we have. Debbie, bonjour from Pennsylvania. Mark, Josephine from the UK. 1 Acre Farm. Hello. Let's see, Deborah. Sure enjoy these. Thanks for doing. Well, I appreciate you all joining. That hopefully this will be helpful if anybody is looking to to make the leap. Lynn Marie from Atlanta. Howdy. Dana from San Francisco. Oh, Pamela. Howdy. Again, glad y'all could make it. So I did make obviously I put a topic on the video, and I'll make a regular video that I'll post as well. But right now it's just been so dang hot here that it's just haven't really had the energy to spend the time on doing things. Just focusing more on trying to stay cool. But fortunately, I have air conditioning in the house, so it hasn't been bad. But ooh, Nelly, that's been toasty outside. So let's see. Oh, Gerard, hello. Bonsoir, Leo. So in any case, I guess we can go ahead and start. It looks like we got some people in line. And if you all get a chance, it'd be great if you could also click the like button. That would be very, very much appreciated. Moments in time. Bonsoir. Let me just make sure. Got everything ready here. So anyway, sorry, I've got a list just to make sure I keep myself in on track here. But let me just make sure I'm not. Christine, hello. What types of things did you ship to France? Would you do it again? Well, that's part of my thing that I have here with the discussion. But I probably, well, maybe I didn't actually talk about this, which I should add that to my list that I have as well. One thing that I would do differently is I wouldn't have gotten rid of a lot of my kitchen things. I purged a lot of. I mean, I really got rid of a lot of stuff. I probably sent too much like prior hobby things that I really should have given more thought to and just given away when I was there in the U.S. before shipping it over. It just wouldn't have cost any. It didn't take that much of a chop off of the price, so. It was like, well, I might as well just ship the stuff then, just in case I decide to pick it up again while I'm here. But so far, I just haven't had the time to do that. But one thing I did find that was a little bit more difficult, because I knew that, like, obviously you can't take small appliances and all those types of things because it's a different power supply, and it won't work, and trying to do it with a converter, especially for doing some, like kitchen appliances or hair dryers or something like that, which of course I don't really have too much use for that. But those types of things you can replace here. They tend to be more expensive, but at least they're the right power voltage, and they'll work, sort of thing. So rather than paying to ship them over here. But a couple of things that I would recommend people to make sure that they don't get rid of are cast iron pans, because even if you have induction, I don't want to use that hand, I'm going to use this one. So like cast iron pans, because even if you have induction cooktops, those will work. Those will work here. And then I got rid of a lot of like muffin tins and like cake pans and some pie pans and things of that sort. And my friend Richard here also is kind of the same way, is that we haven't found pie pans here. You can find 1,000 tart pans, but you can't really find anything that's a pie pan, or like a true pie pan. So, but again, we're kind of in a, it's a smaller city, so maybe in other areas, larger cities may have more choices of things. But primarily it's kitchen stuff that I really should have given some more thought to, rather than just be like, just purge. I can get stuff when I get there. And there's a lot of stuff you can replace. I mean, it's not like stuff doesn't exist. It's just that there's some things that you are going to find harder to find. So if you've got some favorite pans and things of that sort, I would definitely just hold on to those. So let me make sure. I've got a bunch of questions or some comments coming in. Let's see. Bonjour, bonsoir there from New Orleans. Let's see. Gerard, currently, yeah, 69 degrees in Lille. Yeah, that I did look up Lyon and Dijon, and they're both well below 103 degrees type thing. So, but let's see. Ferdinand, hi from Guelph, Canada. Well, hello, Ferdinand. I don't know where that is. Is that which province is that in, or what major city is it maybe nearby? Carlene, hello. Lynn Marie, can you find used kitchen items at the brocants? You can. You can. The they tend to have more like from what I've seen anyway. You can go to the MIUs here, which are essentially charity shops. Well, it is a charity, not essentially. It is a charity shop, and that's where a lot of people donate a lot of their things when they decide to downsize or just get rid of things. And you can find a lot of kitchenware there, utensils and things of that sort. I haven't been to them that much because they're not super convenient without a car. So, I had a couple of times I had a car rental and hit the MAUs here in Perpignan, and it's a huge place. But I can't just normally just take a bus out to it. So I do not. Let's see, Debbie, you must cook a lot. Actually, I don't. The thing is that as a single guy, for most of my life, certainly most of my adult life, anytime I had a birthday or it was holidays or something like that, people would just give me, kitchen stuff. I had a full kitchen of appliances and hardware and all that stuff, and just people were always amazed when I moved. It's like, how do you have all this? I mean, you spend a fortune on these things. It's like, no, just being a single guy that's always worked in corporate environment and had a lot of friends. That was kind of the de facto thing they would give me, and maybe they're trying to tell me something about I should cook, but no, I rarely. I can cook. I just don't. And fortunately, sharing the house with Richard loves to cook, so best of both worlds. I don't have to do it, and he takes care of it. Let's see. Ty Cobb, did you ship any frame paintings or photos? Yes, I did. And I put them in TV boxes, depending on what size. I always got oversized boxes for whatever I was packing when it was framed art or something like that. And I'll say that nothing came, and I packed it all myself. And they were well packed. I would either use towels or something like that, primarily as cushioning product for them, and then obviously like newsprint and things like that you can get at U-Haul and other places there, and that stuff, by the way, here is super expensive. Just even looking to order on Amazon, it's 30 times the price. Oh, we got a visitor. Oh, and always the wrong hand. She found her treats, but yeah, and everything showed up intact. I had maybe one glass piece that snapped, but I would just attribute that to my packing, not to the way it was handled. But the company that I used came and palletized all the boxes, and Richard and I shipped our stuff at the same time to save money on that. And they came and palletized it all, and that's how it got shipped. So we had, I think I may have had like one, the measuring cups, like a glass measuring cup, Pyrex measuring cup broke, and one piece of glass on one picture broke, and but nothing that couldn't have been easily replaced, sort of thing. So it was pretty good for that. So yes, that did ship a few art pieces and all that. So Linda, you can find a wide range of kitchen items in Lyon. I wrote a whole blog about it at several shops. Oh, okay, cool. I'll have to look into that, because I'm sure Lyon has just a bazillion places to go. Let's see, Ferdinand saying his place is from Ontario, an hour west from Toronto. We'll be moving to Pau soon. Oh, okay, well, cool. Well, hopefully all that goes well for your move. Awesome. Let's see, Lydia. Hi, Jeff. I'm on a trip to Sweden, and it's a very pleasant 18 Celsius at the moment. So relieved to get out of the heat wave in France. Yeah, she's been a tough couple months. We had maybe one little break there for a while where it was relatively pleasant, back kind of down to normal temperatures, and then like the last few days, we just had another heat wave come through. But it's supposed to break on Tuesday, and then it looks like for the foreseeable future, we'll be back in normal temperatures here. So, and that's, I think, mid to low 80s type thing, which is totally pleasant. I can have windows open, all that sort of, I don't need to be running air conditioner at that point. So let's see, Lynn Marie. Oh, wait a minute here. What do we got? Greg, bonjour. Great topic today. So are there things you would do differently if you were moving to France now? Yes, that's what I'll start talking about that here shortly. I've got my little list of things, and I'm also going to do a long form video of it, because I want to get that captured in that form too, because not everybody watches the lives. So, but I'll do that as well. Let's see, Lynn Marie. I wonder how expensive it is to replace sheets and towels. It's fairly pricey. I remember friends of mine when I lived in the U.S. and friends of mine lived in the U.K. Every time they came to visit, they always brought like at least one or two extra suitcases. And I always thought it was just such a weird thing, but they would buy jeans, shoes, and towels, and just fill those other suitcases and take them back. And I thought, that's kind of weird. I'm sure you can buy that stuff in the UK, but it's just so much more expensive here. So, well, and I'm not in the UK, I'm in France, but it is, they are fairly expensive here for that. So if you are planning on moving, I would definitely, especially if you're shipping things like even boxes of stuff, I would definitely use your towels and sheets and whatnot. Now, because the bed sizes are different, the sheets are not going to be the exact same size as what you're going to have for beds here. They don't necessarily have twins, queens, and kings. It's they're kind of similar size, but they tend to be a little bit smaller than that. So your sheets, your fitted sheets, will be oversized. Your that type, I mean, you can still use them, but it's not going to be the same sort of fit that you have in the U.S. But I would definitely, if I were going to do it again, I would definitely bring more towels and because they are kind of pricey to send, and just use them as packing material, and you get to use them when you get them here. So let's see. Rob T, hello from SoCal. Howdy. I imagine it's pretty nice there right now. Let's see, Leah. Yes, is it true that bedding in France is a different size in the U.S.? Yeah, it is. It is. They tend to be a little bit smaller here. So your twin sheets, your queen sheets, and your king sheets, and all that will fit. You just have to kind of stuff them underneath the mattress. The mattresses also they have regular mattresses too, but in the furnished units that I've been in, like the house I'm in right now, it came with beds with mattresses, and they're much shallower. I mean, it's only maybe like this. Maybe that deep, something like that. So it's, let's make sure I can see it. So it's not the same as having kind of typical mattresses in the U.S. Let's see, Bruce. Hello, Bruce. Oh, appreciate you all joining in. 39 degrees Celsius, northern Spain. Yeah, so it's sprinkling right now, though. So I think that does it for the heat wave. Bruce, I certainly hope so. That according to my weather app, it looks like here on Tuesday we break, and so we'll be in the low 80s, 80 degrees, something like that on Tuesday. So looking forward, well, Fahrenheit, obviously. So looking forward to that. That'll be nice to be back into kind of normal weather. But Angela, let's see. If you lived in the city center, do you think you'd stay where you are? Does the local transportation take you out to other parts of France? Oh, first part of your question, city center, do you think you'd stay where you are? Probably not. I mean, it certainly makes things easier when meeting up with friends and things, because they almost all live in city center. So it'd make it much easier to meet up with them. But I really just want to have, I think I just really want to have a larger city and different weather. I know that sounds weird. I know that there are people who are just, spend all their life wanting to be in a sunny, dry climate, but I lived in Austin for a number of years. I lived in Albuquerque, which wasn't necessarily always sunny, but it was a fairly dry climate. I'm not a sun person, so I'd rather have some rain and some other weather phenomena that happens more frequently than it certainly does here. So, but nice people. It's a nice city. I don't have any issues with that. It's just, the mass transit options are kind of bleak. And as far as your question about, let's see, what was the other part of your question? Does the local transportation take you out to? Yes, there are regional buses you can take. Obviously there's the train. You can take regional trains, which will take you to a lot of different other towns along the coast or inland. And then there's the regional buses that you can take from the train station here in Perpignan. And it's only €1, which super cheap. And it will take you to some of the outside villages that are around the area too. So, and it'll take you up to Andorra, so there's all kinds of other ways to kind of get out of Perpignan, to kind of escape the heat. So yes, there are a lot of other ways for that. And it's very inexpensive. Let's see, Bruce, wow, you have a large viewership for a live video. Very cool. Yeah, Bruce, I have to say, it is, no one's more surprised than I am that this many people show up. I'm thrilled to death that they do. But I just, typically I've done 7 of, this is my 8th one. But typically I get up to like 130, 140 concurrent people sort of thing. I think is like my highest. And so I'm very happy, especially this time of year. It's just, it's blazing hot here, and it seems like it's blazing hot in a lot of places. So, but let's see. Alciano, how is your hand doing from the? Oh, it's I don't know if you want to see, but no more. Well, of course, it's hard to tell with this camera, but there's no over here, no real bruising left. I can move my hand. I can grasp things. It's still a little tender, so I assumed it was just kind of bruised. But it seems to be healing good. So I just my English is probably just about the same level as my French. So let's see, Debbie, I don't find it weird that you would want different weather. I like cooler temperatures as well. So the south of France doesn't appeal to me. Yeah, I know there's a lot of people who just, they dream of living in the south of France because it's the warmer weather and the sun. And if you like that, Perpignan is definitely one of the places you should check out. It definitely has the sun and all that. Let's see. Recovering academic. My husband and I are also not sun people. We're looking at northern France. Yeah, when I first, as you've seen in my other videos, the reason I have ended up in Perpignan is purely because of Valerie, my estate agent that I used at the time. And Valerie's she's helped so many people. And thank you for everybody that's reached out to her. She's gotten quite a few bits of business from everybody. And which I'm glad to hear. I'm just thrilled to death. She's a remarkable person and just will work hard for you to get a place for you. I just met up with a couple that were in Perpignan for the last few days. They've been in France, I think, for close to 90 days. They're flying back to the U.S. tomorrow. But I met up with them today here in Perpignan, and they met up with Valerie on Friday, and she's identified a house for them in some village. I don't remember the name of it now, but they wanted something closer to the mountains because they're mountain bikers. And so she's somehow located them a place out out closer to the mountains where they can do mountain bike riding. And it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. I don't know if I know any more information about it, like a 1-car garage, but they're small garages here. So, you're not going to have some big car to put in there. But, and I don't know how much property comes with it. It's just, I think they did say it was a village house. So it's not going to have a lot of property to it. It's just going to be somewhere in the village. But I want to say it was like 700 euros, something like that for it. So, you can find some very reasonably priced places, out, but they'll have to get a car, and all that to be able to get around. But it's just, the whole YouTube thing has just been so cool on being able to connect with people, and the number of folks that have come through Perpignan that I've had an opportunity to meet has just been remarkable to me. It's maybe 10 people altogether so far, 10 or 12 people altogether so far, but I never would have met them had I not done this YouTube thing. So just got to be, let's see. Paula, you got a shout out from Rob and Sharon. You know what? I connected with Rob a couple of days ago via email because I've been a subscriber of their channel for quite a while, and I just find them interesting. They seem to be very nice people, and but I just wanted to kind of at least connect and figure out what we can do to kind of get together. And I did join their live today, but unfortunately I was on the bus, and so I couldn't hear it. I didn't have my headphones with me, so I couldn't hear it. So I just said hello, and I just wanted to show that I was showing support for their live, and then got off obviously when it ended, sort of thing. But I'll go back and watch that later on, maybe tomorrow or Tuesday. But that was very nice of him to give a shout out. Let's see, Augie, given what happened with Freya, would you consider using a pet relocation service if you were to do it again? No, they're super expensive. And for what if I had a couple of pets, I would certainly more likely explore that, because that would be a lot. And you can't have, at least at the time, I can't imagine it's changed that much, but you can't have more than, I think, each one person, one pet sort of thing. So, I couldn't take, if I had 2 cats, I wouldn't be able to do 2 cats myself. I would have had to have somebody fly with me to do that. So, but no, it really wasn't that hard. Then that's one of the things I would do differently, is that when I was still in the States and getting the pet, going through and getting the pet health certificate from the USDA and all that hoo-ha that you have to go through, I had it sent to the house thinking that, it'll get there soon. And, after doing the appointment and everything's done digitally, and it's going to be overnighted back to me and blah, blah, blah. Well, it also set up, which I would not have done differently, I would have still done this, is that the last week I was in the US, I was at a hotel. And so I had Freya with me, and it was closer to the airport, and I just wanted to be able to do the final clean out of the house and getting the stuff moved to a temporary storage facility and all those types of tasks, and getting rid of the internet and disconnecting things and dropping crap off and doing all that sort of thing. And I just wanted to do that kind of in peace and not be trying to live amongst boxes and sleeping on the floor and those types of things. So we had gotten rid of everything. Just furniture and just all I had were boxes. And so anyway, I stayed at the hotel, but I wasn't smart enough to, when I took her to the vet, to give them the address of the hotel, thinking it would just be sent back to the house. And, I can just, worst case comes to worst, I'd just drive up and pick it up and, voila, I'm done. And of course, as it turns out, UPS lost the paperwork when it came into the Atlanta facility. And then I had the paperwork subsequently FedEx to me at the hotel, and that worked great. I should have done that in the first place, but kind of lessons learned as you go through it. But I would absolutely have done it the same way I did it, knowing what all was involved. And Freya actually, she did the trip better than I did. So I didn't get any sleep. She probably didn't get any sleep either. I'm sure, but there was no throw up, no peeing, no pooping, no anything like that in the kennel, and she seemed perfectly content. Now, it might have been shock or something like that, but she seemed perfectly content either in the airport in Atlanta or the airport in Barcelona. The ride up from Barcelona to Perpignan in the car the car service, the Andy, rideandy.com. Not a peep, nothing out of her. So she did great. I would totally do that again. If I had a couple of pets, I would look at it, but I don't. So let's see. Oh my gosh. Okay, I've missed a few of these. The Weather Channel says it's 70 in Strasbourg right now. That's where I'm considering for my move. I love cooler temps. Lynn Marie, yes. Yeah, the Strasbourg, and actually Lyon looked like it was, Lyon and Dijon are also cooler. They didn't get hit today, it looks like I did. So theirs obviously broke sooner than what is going to break down here. So this heat wave must have been a little bit more concentrated. But I know that they were hot. I mean, they were like Lyon was 100 degrees or so, something like that earlier this week. So, they did have the heat wave. It just ended sooner there. Let's see. Valerie is definitely on my contact list. Absolutely, it doesn't, and she'll do it even if you're not looking for Perpignan. If it's anywhere in France, she has a wide network of friends that she can help with. To identify people to help you with it. So, don't hesitate to reach out to her. And if she doesn't know somebody, she will let you know. But if you need somebody that can help you identify someone that either will potentially speak English or possibly she will help with the translations, things like that, she's a workaholic. I mean, she's an absolute gem. Let's see, Ileana. Oh, I forgot to say hello to everyone. Hope you're, hello, bonjour, bonsoir. Let's see, Sandra, glad your hand's better. Good tips so far on the cast iron cookware, towels, and linens. Oh, sure. And that's something that I know that my friend Richard had some sort of a cast iron pot there, a cast iron skillet that he got from his grandmother or something, that inherited from his grandmother. And so some very old piece. And he had some sort of a stoneware Dutch oven, or again, I say these terms and I don't know what they're really made of type thing. But he was when he first got here, we had a gas cooktop with the small apartment. But when we moved to the house, then it was this induction cooktop, and so he thought that it's like, okay, well, I can't use my Dutch oven, I can't use these things, I can't use that, and then all, because we just heard that it was like it just has to be some special pan that says it's induction capable, type thing. And well, as it turns out, he could. So he was able to use his Dutch oven. It's some sort of, probably not stoneware. It must have some metal in it. And then obviously the cast iron skillet. So he was thrilled to death that he could use those things. And but it is an induction cooktop. It's not a gas cooktop and all that. So Justin, hello. Oh, Sue, bonsoir. Je vais bien, merci. Ça va? Or et toi? Let's see, Sandra, I'm with recovering academic, likely will aim for more northern France after 2+ decades in Phoenix's excessive sun and heat. Plus, I can do without scorpions, black widows. Yeah, I bet. Yeah, Phoenix, just that's blazing hot. Austin was bad enough, but that's that's the thing. Bill Hibbs, hello from Georgetown. We sent you some of our heat. Yes, thank you. And it's cool you're in Georgetown. I used to live in Serenata. Well, obviously a few years ago type thing. I renovated a house in Serenata, and then my folks were out in Sun City. I found them a place in Sun City. I was a real estate broker in Texas, and so I helped them out there. And then when my dad passed away a couple years later, my mom didn't want to keep living by herself, so we found a model of a home there in Sun City, because she loved living in Sun City. She had some great neighbors, great friends, and all that. And I didn't care. So, and my house was too small to have both of us. So yes, I know I'm trying to move in with an 83-year-old lady, but it just is one of those things where I just wanted my space. And again, I'm not used to living with people, so it's all of my adult life, I've always just been by myself, and have been perfectly happy with that. And but anyway, so we found a house, built it. We both sold both of our places. We moved into the house. I think she lived about another year and a half, something like that. And then she passed away. So then I went ahead and sold it. But I really liked Georgetown. It was a nice little town. Well, not really little town, but small city. Let's see, recovering academic. We lived in Florida for 2+ decades. No more heat and humidity. Thank you very much. I'm originally from San Francisco. Yeah, yeah, Florida can do its thing too. Grumel, bonjour. Let's see, Paul, what part of France will you be relocating to? Well, most likely, although it's not a given yet, but most likely Lyon or Dijon. The only thing I say that is the reason it's in question is that I don't know if I can afford it yet. I'm assuming I can, but Valerie has reached out to a friend of hers that's an estate agent in Lyon, and we're going to see about getting somebody connected in Dijon as well, and just find out what. I mean, Dijon is going to be more likely, but I really want to target Lyon first and just see if there is a place that I can get a 2-bedroom apartment that's not, I don't need to live in city center. I don't need to live in the first or second arrondissement, arrondissement. I'm not even pronounce that properly. Well, you know what I'm talking about. And so I don't need to live in city center. I can live in the outskirts as long as I'm close to a tram or a metro station. That's all I really care about. And then that way, if I do meet up with them, like I have friends that live in those areas, arrondissement, I'm going to keep trying to say that, and I don't know that I'm going to get it out right, but in any case, that's where I'm looking at right now. But people have been coming up with some really great options, and look, once if I do end up moving to Lyon or Dijon, it doesn't mean I'm going to be traveling around France. So I'm going to get an opportunity to see other regions and other areas. And that may not be my final location either. I may decide on some other place, but right now those are kind of the likely ones. Paula, I'm preparing for a move in about 3 months. What other things would you recommend taking with you as opposed to waiting to buy there? Honestly, it's going to be primarily, well, I know like Abby on Chateau Chronicles. I just saw her latest. Well, she usually posts on Sunday, so she may have a current video out now. But I think it was last Sunday that she showed her video of her traveling back from Seattle to France, and her neighbors had asked for like a bunch of Colgate toothpaste and some other things. So if there's some favored, well, and obviously you need to make sure it's things that you can transport back too. So I mean, I'll say things, but always check with whatever appropriate to bring to a foreign country type thing. But I would say that if you have any favorite teas or because they have a lot of tea options here, but they may not have what you typically want. Or if there's toothpaste that they obviously sell toothpaste here, they sell deodorant here, they sell all the shampoos and soaps and all those types of things. But in any case, if you have a favorite of those types of things, you might want to make sure that you do that. You bring those. And the other thing that Richard couldn't find here, brown sugar. That's what it was. So far we haven't been. Now again, places like Lyon, even Dijon, something like that. They, the Nice or Marseille or wherever type thing, may very well have places that have those things, but have not been able to find that here in Perpignan. So he's gotten to the point where now he knows how to make brown sugar. So that's what he's been doing, I guess. So to make cookies and things of that sort. So. So anyway, I would just, if you have any favored pans, things like that, and if you can make sure that because there are a lot of induction cooktops here. I don't know how popular they are throughout France, but that does seem to be a very popular renovation thing that people do here. So, but definitely towels, some clothing, especially if you're like me, plus size. I just you can't find that stuff here, at least locally, type thing. So let's see. Lulu, hello from Alaska. Hello. Let's see. Linda, well, good evening, y'all. Hope everyone's well. Hope you're doing well too. Rose is coming in from Southwest Louisiana. Bonjour, bonsoir. Let's see. Judy, thumbs up from Judy. Good to see you as well, Judy. Let's see, Mark, lots of Texas representation. Oh, I'm in Kyle. Oh, okay, yeah, but was in Kyle several times. Let's see. Linda, take a month's supply of your favorite brands, toiletries, cosmetics, spices, etc. until you find, oh, that's great advice, Linda. Yeah, no, great advice. Make sure, like she says here, bring a month's supply of your favorite brands, or, kind of as much as you feel comfortable packing or even shipping across type thing. Because there's a lot of places with spices and all that type of stuff, but if you've got some favorite brands, you do want to try to make that. Let's see, Lydia, sucre de canne, brown sugar is definitely available in France. Okay, cool. We just, like I said, we haven't been able to find it here in Perpignan, but let's see. Miss Ciara, salut from Paris in San Diego. Well, hello. Let's see. J. Mark, hello from Oregon. Hello, hello. Let's see. Carlene, you want to look for sucro roux or sucro moscovado? Okay. Okay. Well, we've been looking. Whatever looks like brown sugar, we like I said, we just haven't found it here. So, but I'm probably in Toulouse and larger cities. They likely have it. So. Let's see, Alex, brown sugar is called Cassonade, Sucre Roux, Vigeoise in supermarkets. It's very popular in northern France. Okay, well, that's good to know. That and it might just be a regional thing. Maybe they just don't use that much brown sugar here. So. Let's see, Miss Sierra, you can also have friends mail things to you. It is cheaper. Possibly true, and we probably should explore that sometime to see if there's some things that maybe we should have mailed over. So, Janet, oh, hello, Janet. Let's see, Tracy, have you tried the luggage forwarding service, forwarding an extra couple of suitcases ahead of your flight there? No, I didn't try that. When I came here, I came with 2 large suitcases and my carry-on, and then of course the kennel for Freya type thing. So mine wasn't that unwieldy to deal with, and with my points from Delta, I think it covered all the luggage costs, and I didn't have anything that was over the 70 pounds or whatever the weight limit is. So, now in hindsight, I should have probably picked up some other things and ordered some stuff and all that, but at the time I just was trying to focus on shoveling things out and getting ready to go, and trying to reduce my stress level with the whole thing, and with that. So let's go ahead and hit on some. Oh, let's see here. I just want to make sure I don't miss these things, because it's harder to kind of scroll with this system. Let's see, Dana, is there a time of year that you think works better for a move to France? I don't know. I would avoid doing it though in probably like July, August. Just because of vacations. It's incredible how difficult it is to get some things done, especially in the month of August. A lot of people, close down, take vacations, which it's great. I mean, people take their time, do their thing, and all that. But I don't know that I'd want to move in August, just because it's like, okay, there are things I really want to get done. Now, obviously, you can get like internet, and you can get some things. People, grocery stores are still open, all that sort of thing. But a lot of businesses are not, or they're down for a couple of weeks during the month, and it just seems tougher then. I personally would rather do it like in maybe the spring, just so that it's not, I'm not moving immediately. Because I guess maybe depending on where you're moving as well, make sure you have clothes for the next season. Because when I moved here, it was in May, and almost all of my winter clothes were obviously being shipped. So by the time October, November came, and didn't have my stuff yet, because we didn't move into the house until October, so probably didn't get the stuff until November or December. I had to buy a winter coat and all that, which not a huge deal, but just time it that way. Let's see, Kirsty, bonsoir de Norvège. Nice to listen to your experiences moving to a new country. Oops, skipping around. Happy you enjoyed. Oh, great. Thank you so much, Kirsty. I will say, even if I have a list of things that I would have done differently, it has no impact on me enjoying being here. It's just lessons learned, as everybody does throughout life. Let's see, Melanie, Jeff, I think many Americans dream of doing what you're doing, but can't for various reasons. Thanks for sharing your travels. Oh, you're quite welcome. And I totally understand. My whole point of doing this channel was to show people that you can do this and not have to be wealthy to do it. It's just, there may be some other things you have to take into account and more compromises have to be made, but it's feasible. So if you want to do it, it's certainly feasible. And honestly, if people, even if they came here on a 90-day, don't go through all the visa hassle of trying to get the long stay visitor visa and all that. Come for 90 days and stay in, maybe spend a month in France and maybe a month wherever you're looking to go, type a month in Spain, whatever, and just test it out and see if you like it. Because it doesn't give you the full experience of what it's actually like to live here, but it gives you enough of an experience to make you think, okay, can I put up with things that are that much different than what I had in the U.S.? And, and if you can't, you can't. And it's better to know that after 90 days versus going through all the hassle of moving here. So let's see. Angela, hey, Jeff, would 5K per month be a doable budget to have a comfortable, modest apartment and able to travel? Oh, yeah, Angela, yes. 5K would give you a very decent, obviously it depends on how you like to live, but 5K will give you an incredibly decent lifestyle. You don't have to worry about that. I wish I had 5K a month, but I get by on far less than that. So let's see. Spring or fall? Yes, I'd say spring or fall. I would say more likely spring, just because it's easier to transition into summer wear than necessarily unless you bring a winter coat or some sweaters and things like that with you to come in for the winter. Lydia, everybody, yes, please hit the like button. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Yeah, that would be nice if y'all could hit the like button. Greatly appreciated. Let's see, Sue, you have I use bite toothpaste nibs. You bite them, they start to foam. Brush teeth as usual. Great for mold life in my RV. For space saving and weight, I bought a 2-year supply before. Awesome. I never heard of that stuff. So let's see, Linda, do you know how to buy English books when you're in France? Amazon turns to the French version, and the bookshop in Perpignan had very few. You know what? There was Baguette Bound, I think, had done. Now it's not like it's in Perpignan, but they had done, I think, a bookshop interview with a fella that opened one up in, I think it was Perigord, and I think they have English language books. So I would imagine the major cities, Toulouse or even like Montpellier and all them may have English language books there. I'm not a book buyer, so I don't know for certain that they. I don't think that they had any. I couldn't find. I don't know that they would have any English language bookstores here in Perpignan, just because it's not a common thing here. So that. But yeah, since I spent most of my life writing, not books, but writing proposals, writing requirement specs, requiring all this stuff. If I never see another thing that I have to read, I'll be perfectly fine, or write. I'll be perfectly fine. Let's see. E. Corey. Hi, Jeff from Southern California. Howdy. Did you digitize important documents and photos before moving? I typically do that anyway. Just in case something happens where they get lost or, somebody steals them or whatever happens. I almost always have everything have some sort of a digital copy and in a Dropbox folder, just so I can access it in case I need something. But that's good advice. Countryside Tropiques. Hey there, Jeff. Watching from the Loire next to Burgundy. Been here for 19 years. Oh, cool. I'm sure I butchered not only your name, but the name of your town as well. But nice. No, Burgundy looked like a great area. Mark, do you ever get cravings for Tex-Mex? I wouldn't say the cravings, but if somebody brought me something that really looked like good nachos or a burrito, I believe me, that will get demolished. Absolutely demolished. I find it funny that a lot of the videos you watch, or that I watch anyway, of people in France, and I think there was one, it might have been Bruce's in Spain. It might have been one of his videos. Bruce Hamilton has a channel in Spain, and also Sue, I'll have to scroll up, but the French Expat, retired on a shoestring. You need to check her out. Bruce Hamilton is another one that was online here. He has a channel that he does out of northern Spain, and that guy does some remarkable capabilities with editing and just funny content and a kind of a humorous look on life as an American in northern Spain, and just very, very funny. But anyway, as far as the cravings go for Tex-Mex, I don't necessarily crave it because I know I don't have it here. But everything at the stores is like, if you go to any and I'll do a video on one of them here, Five Continents, which has some more of the obscure, foreign kind of foods type thing. But like at the Leclerc or Intermarché, it's always just like old El Paso brands of stuff. So, and it seems like that whoever's the distributor for that here in Europe, they're making a mint. They're making an absolute mint. And so if you want tortillas, you want hard shell taco shells, you want, whatever type thing. If it's made by Old El Paso, chances are you'll be able to find it. It's just that to me, that's not, it's better than nothing. It's better than what you find typically at places that want to serve nachos or serve, some sort of dip or whatever they do for guacamole here. But it's just not the same as some of the places there in Texas or other California, things of that sort. So let's see. Lisa, country topics, Lisa. Well, I don't. Oh, maybe that's your name is Lisa. But okay. So Sandra from Google. Cassonade is most similar to American brown sugar. It's natural, slightly refined. Oh, okay. Well, thank you, Sandra. We'll have to, like I said, we just look for things that look like they're brown sugar and just can't find it here in the grocery stores. But anyway, Miss Ciara, there's Tex-Mex in Paris. Okay, cool. Maybe if I get up to Paris, I'll check out to see what it's actually like. Lynn Marie. Let's see, she's talking about book, and that might be the one that they were talking about. Bookies it's an English bookstore in Paraguay. So that might be the one that Baguette Bound had done the interview with. So Raina there at Baguette Bound had done. So let's see, Countryside Tropiques. We do a lot of Mexican food. You can buy pinto and black beans at Portuguese supermarkets. There is a Portuguese place over here by the Intermarché near my house. I should just stop in there and see what they have. Maybe they have some things that could kind of do that. So let's see. Miss Yara, there are avocados. Oh yeah, no, we've definitely seen avocados here. Just whenever they've had guacamole on menus, it's like, okay, technically it is guacamole, but not quite the same. So let's see, Captain Trips. I had nachos for dinner last night in the USA, the best country in the world. Okay, well, good. E. Corey, Jeff, do you have a dryer or just washing machine? There is a dryer here in the house. It's one of those that's more of a steam removal sort of dryer, so it's not super effective. But during the winter, it works to help dry jeans and towels without waiting 6 days for it to dry in the garage. So. Let's see. Leah, Jeff, what other areas have you traveled to in France so far besides Dijon and Lyon? Well, I've been to Agen, been to Toulouse. Like it's further south from Perpignan, it's been like Collioure, Argelès-sur-Mer, Bagnols-sur-Mer, Le Boulou, Serre. Out to like villages around Perpignan would be like Tuire, Saint-Estève, been to Narbonne, Montpellier. Let's see. I've been to Paris, but that was years ago. So, okay. I think we'll get rid of Captain Trips here. Oops. Let me see. Okay. So let's see. So I've been around a little bit, just not a whole lot up north. But maybe if I get to Lyon or something like that, I'll end up going that way. Let's see. recovering academic. So what would you do differently if you were moving to France? Well, that would be the topic of this this video. So let's see. So I guess the first thing I would have done differently is when I was researching this initially back in 2023. The YouTube gurus at the time were talking about, you had to have a long-term rental in order to get approved for the visa. But I guess I misinterpreted that to be, like a 12-month lease. And as it turns out, because I thought that they had said, and some of them probably did say it, and I just took their word for it, was that, you couldn't get like an Airbnb for 3 months or a hotel for 3 months because it had to be a real address, and it had to be something you get mailed to, which is true for your visa validation and then going through the process. Well, not necessarily visa validation. Well, yeah, your visa validation, because you'll eventually get a snail mail from the immigration service about your appointment at the immigration office, wherever that is. It's, mine was in Montpellier. And, but in any case, so you do need to have an address, but you don't need this 12-month lease in order to get the visa. And so what I would have done differently is I would have gotten a 3-month Airbnb or something like that, and come and then just looked for places. But because I was so focused on it had to be a long-term lease, I contacted realtors that were recommended to me in Montpellier, Béziers, and Perpignan. And again, I was focused on Montpellier initially, and I'd heard of Béziers, but I didn't do any real research into it, and I'd never heard of Perpignan. And so that was totally off my radar for looking at places. But, as I explained in one of the videos, is that the agent in Montpellier was only interested in showing me properties, and I would choose one, not like just arranging things and making sure this was going to work and all that. And I'm like, well, I didn't want to really fly over here because it was more important for me to have that so I could get the visa than it was for me to have. I wasn't looking for it to be the place I was going to be spending my life in, so I figured I could put up with a year for wherever type thing. But as it turned, and never heard back from the agent in Béziers, and then, which I'm sure they were probably tired of listening to Americans contact them and nothing ever happened. And then I got a hold of Valerie here in Perpignan, and she was a champ. I mean, she found me an apartment, and it didn't work out for the apartment, but it worked for getting the visa and all that, and it just and for getting the visa validation, and didn't have to worry about it once I got here. But if I were going to do it differently, I would definitely look to do a short-term rental. The risk you take with that, the kind of the con side of it, is that like friends of mine had just recently moved to Nice, a few months ago, and they had an Airbnb for 90 days. And it was like day 72 or 75 is when they finally found an apartment they could rent type thing. So, that would be a nail biter to me, where it's like, okay, I'm running out of time. Do I have to extend this if I can? Do I have to find another Airbnb, which is a pain in the butt because then you got to pack up and move to someplace else and all that? Or, so pros and cons, for doing it. But if I were going to do it again, I would just get an Airbnb. I wouldn't mess with the lease. I wouldn't do all that stuff. I would just come here and find something. So the next thing I would have done differently is doing the carte vitale at 91 days. You can apply for the carte vitale at, after you've hit 3 months. And I ended up waiting until I moved here to this house, and couldn't move into the house until October 14th. Pardon me. And we got little pouty Freyo. Jeez, I can't even do this. Pouty Freyo over here. But in any case, I would have started the process earlier because it takes a couple of months to get it. But once you have it, it just makes things a lot even less expensive, obviously, than what you started with. So I would have done that at 90 days, and just, I would have had it before I moved here, and just had to change the address on it, and that would have been simple enough to do. So that's one thing I would have done differently as well. Let's see. So, and also, like I had told you earlier, I booked a hotel my final week in the U.S. And while I wouldn't do that any differently, the cons, obviously, it's an additional expense to deal with. I had to worry about, Freya getting out. but that was kind of alleviated by just telling the hotel staff, because obviously pets were allowed in the hotel. So I wasn't trying to sneak her in or anything like that. And anyway, I was concerned about her getting out, but then when I told the hotel staff, they would just give me, I could borrow the vacuum cleaner every couple of days. They'd give me new, linens. I'd swap out the linens or the towels and all that. So it made all that a lot easier than what I was anticipating it was going to be. So that made it out. And of course, then you also have to eat out every meal, because it's, there's no, the hotel I was in didn't have a kitchen to it. So, there was nothing like that. So that, like I mentioned earlier, what I would have done differently is I would have had the pet paperwork just sent to the hotel. I knew the hotel I was going to be staying at. I should have just had it sent there. Then I wouldn't have to be worrying about, driving back to the house and picking it up. And, of course, that wouldn't have stopped UPS from losing it, but, it all worked out in the end. I also didn't have any regrets of doing the car service. It was more expensive from Barcelona, from the airport to my apartment in Perpignan. And again, that was rideandy.com. I've got it in one of I think I put that in my videos now for a link that's there. It's not an affiliate link. I don't get anything out of it. I just thought that they were a great service. But the guy met me, at the arrivals area in the airport, and I had my bags obviously by then and all that. And he helped me out with the bags. The car was parked it was a Mercedes Sprinter van that was converted for passengers. And just, I was the only one. I booked it for myself, and took it up to Perpignan, so I didn't have to drive. I didn't have to wait for trains. Because I had Freya with me. If it was just me, I wouldn't go to that expense. But with the pet, I didn't want to deal with that. But I don't have any regrets out of it. It was more expensive than taking the trains, but only slightly. It was like maybe 1.5 times more expensive than taking the trains. And, I just zipped from the airport up to Perpignan. I didn't have to. It's easy in Barcelona. You can take the train from the airport to the train station. They also have cabs, all these buses that go there and all that. So you can do things cheaper, to get there. But then it's like trying to time it with the trains to go up to Perpignan. And it's a zoo. There's, a billion people that are there. And just, it turned out to be much more of a headache. Let's see. Oh, I'm missing some questions here. Let's see. Well, or possible questions. Let's see. So we got more talk about the brown sugar. Oh, Sue, on the old El Paso taco stuff. But a year from now, I'll be totally jonesy for it. I know. Yeah, maybe so. I look, I love Tex-Mex. I love Mexican food. I knew that was going to be an issue here. We just had a Filipino restaurant open up. So I want to go try that out. It's a young couple that I think they're part of the English-speaking group here too, Expat group. So, I want to go try them out and see if that can kind of help fill some of the need. Let's see, Ms. Ciara, what about French lessons before you moved? You know what? I did some Babbel and I tried Duolingo. What was a little frustrating, I probably just was doing them wrong. But because I had French many, 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 many years ago, 7 years of it, it's, I probably am A1, I would say probably an A1 level. I certainly wouldn't say I'm an A2. I can talk a little bit, but, conversations are a little tough because I can't always remember. I know words, but I may not know verbs, type thing. So, and the right tense and things of that sort. So, but I don't mind making mistakes with the language. I know people, and everybody's been super kind to correct if I've said something wrong, things of that sort. So, because I do want to get better at it. I'm not going to be that belligerent person that's like, I'm only speaking English. I don't want to learn French. All this. I do want to learn French, but I think that I don't think that Duolingo at least Duolingo was really helpful to me. It just was a lot of more simplistic because you just kind of step through the process and it's like, this is a bird, this is a duck, this is a fox, this is a whatever type thing. And it's important to know words, but I'd rather know words that are something I would actually use, not just like, like I'm a child learning, different things. So, but there are benefits to it. It's just, it wasn't for me. But let's see. Still talking about brown sugar. Let's see, Lynn Marie. Jeff, if you consider getting your Scotland EU passport through citizenship by descent, you mentioned an interest in that previously. Well, it's not an EU passport, it'd just be a UK passport. And I totally would have done that if Brexit hadn't happened. But with Brexit, I don't see a real benefit with it. And I've looked at I've looked at Scotland a few times because I just at some point in time in my life I certainly go visit, but I just have this real strong desire to live there. And I know another thing that's just kind of weird because it's like we know it's bad weather, we know it's rainy, we know it's cool, we know it's all this, but it kind of feels ancestral to me, and which makes sense because both my sets of grandparents are from Scotland, or were from Scotland, so it. It's one of those things, but it's just so expensive. Even if you just look at rent prices in some of the, because I don't want to live like, I don't want to live in a, remote village sort of thing. I just don't want to do that. That's not, I just think I'm too old for doing that sort of thing. I don't, I'd rather be more, not necessarily, I don't need to be in the middle of Edinburgh. I don't need to be in the middle of Glasgow or something like that. But I just would like to be kind of near a city that has mass transit or a regular city that has mass transit and train connections. So I know that they have good train connections and all that around the country. But even if you live in some of the smaller cities, it just seems like it's so expensive. It's, and with the pound and US dollar conversions, I think it's like 30% higher than $1. So, if something's £1,000, it's really like $1,300 or $1,350. And, and then there's council taxes. And it seems like there's a lot of taxes that get tacked onto things, and the NHS surcharges. And, it just seemed to be very expensive. So, while it is a dream to do it, I don't know that I'll ever be able to, just because it's so expensive or it's perceived by me to be super expensive just on some, kind of research I've done in it. But yes, if they hadn't done the Brexit thing, that probably would have made the decision a little easier, because then it would have been an EU passport and been able to get around the EU and all that. And that would have been great. But when they did the Brexit thing, that was the kind of final nail for me on looking to do that sort of citizenship. So let's see here. Who else am I missing? Let's see. Hello, Paul. Let's see. Elizabeth Ann. Hi, Jeff. Hi, people in the chat. Hello, Elizabeth. Thank you for joining. Let's see. Lynn Marie. I'm going to the citizenship by descent route in Ireland to enter France on an EU passport. Oh, yeah. No, that'd be the way to do it. Unfortunately, my ancestors were not Irish. There are times it's like, oh, why couldn't you be Irish rather than Scottish? But, still love Scotland. I just wish it was still all part of the EU. Let's see. Let's see. Sure, no worries. I had to learn a lot when I first came here because I bake a lot. Countryside, that's very much appreciated. It's great information you provided. So let's see. Cheryl, love your channel. It really helped me before I moved to Paris 2 months ago. I'll move further mid-East France after my lease. Oh, great. Well, I'm glad it helped out, Cheryl. I really appreciate that. Let's see. Miss Sierra, luckily I was married to a French man, so I did not need to go. Yeah, that's another thing, I guess. Could look to getting married to somebody, but I don't. There's a lot more compromise. I have enough of the compromise with the housemate. So let's see, Leah, have you focused on improving your French at all? I'm trying. I'm trying. I'm probably going to give. I'm using italki. I need to use it more often than when I am using it. That certainly has helped, and that really helps more with. I guess my confidence, more confidence in speaking French, which you wouldn't get from anything that I have on any of my videos. But this whole process of doing videos and talking to a camera and not actually talking to people, but being able to communicate with folks through chat and all that is just still super new to me. So a lot of my time gets kind of consumed with this sort of thing, which I really enjoy, which I do really enjoy. And it's been a great creative outlet for me. Although, Bruce will probably look at that and say, creative, and I will take note on that. So let's see, Cheryl, I also had French many years ago. Do you watch French television shows or movies to help you learn? I really should. And I really want to do, I want to listen to French podcasts too. And so I thought maybe I'd start looking at more of the French language YouTube videos that they have, because that's how you're going to learn more, quickly, is just being able to be more immersed in the language and people speaking it and all that. So let's see, countryside. I'm teaching French to my friend in France who moved here a few years ago. If she can learn, so can you. I teach English to my French kids, to French kids. Okay, cool. Yeah, no, I totally know that I can learn the language. It's just that the first year here has really been more focused on all this admin hoo-ha that goes on with being an immigrant, to a new country. So, and just getting the bank accounts and carte vitale and all doing my driver's license exchange and doing all these things. It just seems like time just escapes you, and after a while, it's like, okay, well, but once all that's done, which it's almost all done, I can really focus. And next year, I'm going to really be more focused on language, things like that. So let's see. Kim, my husband is an avid saltwater fisherman. Do you think Perpignan is a good area for us to start with? Texan here. Kim, I don't know. There's a lot of, there are several, I know Coulier and all that are all fishing village or former fishing villages. So there's a lot of that fishing around here. I'm assuming the med saltwater, but I don't know. I don't know if it's freshwater or saltwater. I is kind of stupid about that. So if there's anybody in chat that knows, and they may have already responded to you, but let us know about that. Let's see, Lydia, I was born in Northern Ireland, which gives me the right to both an EU Irish passport and also a British passport. So yes, that is fortunate for you. Good for you. Sandra, sorry for all the brown sugar. No, that's all good information. And like I said, I'll have to go back and check that. And I'll get Richard to go look at the chat just so he can, get some ideas. But honestly, we've been looking at the stores here, and whatever it's called, whatever it is, we just haven't been able to find anything that even resembles brown sugar. So let's see. Sandra, I'm flying with 2 cats. Did you mean you literally would have to have another person with you to fly with? Yes, in cabin, definitely. At least that was Delta's rules. I don't know if other airlines have different rules on that, but that was Delta's rule, was that I wouldn't have been able to take 2 cats with me. I would have to have somebody else with me to help with the other cat, which kind of makes sense. I mean, just in case something happens. You don't want to just leave one cat behind, there, or, one cat gets out or whatever happens type thing. So, I get it. And that's usually what drives the expense of doing the pet relocation, especially if you have multiple pets, is it turns out to be, potentially multiple tickets you have to pay for as well. Let's see. Lulu, Brittany did not resonate with me. But, and that's the thing. I mean, different areas, just like I said, if you like sunny, dry, warm weather, and it's not like it's super warm. I mean, I had one winter so far, and it was not necessarily a warm winter. It was cooler than I was expecting for the south of France, but that might have been another fluke of climate control, climate crisis and all that. But if you like warmish, dry weather, this part of the country is absolutely for you, type thing. It's even though it's 104 degrees outside or something like that today, I think the humidity was which way the wind was blowing. You would either get humid air up coming from the Gulf, or you would have dry air coming from West Texas or from North Texas. So but for the most part here, it's considered a fairly dry climate. So Miss Yara, Jeff, listen to a lot of French TV. It will help you understand the sound. Yeah, no, I totally agree. Totally agree. I definitely will be doing that. Rose, my ancestors are all Scottish. The Gaulois of France are the Celts, not in the Perpignan area, which is Catalan. Can't wait to meet you. We arrived December. Oh, great. No, just please reach out. And like I said, reach out via email, before you get here. And absolutely, we'd love to meet up with you. So let's see. Janet, check with the airline. Yes, definitely check with the airlines. Delta at the time, did not allow that. So, that would have been something the seat would have had to have been occupied. It was more of a, somebody there to help than it was necessarily taking up someone else's space underneath the seat. But it was, I think, and maybe that was the case. Maybe that's why they wanted it. You're not going to have somebody sitting next to you for 10 hours that's going to be thrilled about not being able to put their feet underneath their chair in front of them. So let's see, Miss Yara, also going out and meeting new French friends helps so much too. Yeah, I totally agree with all your points. And unfortunately, with where I am right now, it's because of the bus service. I don't have a car, that sort of thing. I can get a bike. I've just been somewhat hesitant on doing that just because it's something else to move right now. So, but of course, I'm planning on being here for several more months. So it's likely soon I'm going to be looking to buy a bike. And then that kind of gets rid of the issue of how do I get home from, being tired. Because I don't mind. I've ridden they have rental bikes here and the scooters, the electric scooters. And I've rented a bike to come back it was Labor Day. Yeah, Labor Day, May 1st here. And there's no bus service. Everything kind of shuts down on May 1st. And so I didn't realize that because even though I arrived May 1st last year, I just was driven up from Barcelona and jet lagged. So I just ended up just collapsing at the apartment. So I didn't notice that the buses weren't running. And but they weren't running, and they weren't running this year, May 1st. And so made the plans to meet up with friends down at my favorite kebab shop. And so it was a 45-minute walk to get down there. And on the way back, it's like, I'm getting a bike. I'm going to ride a bike back. And it was totally fine. They've got bike lanes in some areas, and some areas you ride in the streets, but there's nothing that's so busy that it's a, super big danger to drive around here. Let's see. Carol, you're doing a great job. Well, thank you. I know. And again, this is also a reason why I put the topic in the video. And I've covered a couple of the pieces, but I will definitely go and do a regular long form video just to go through what would I do differently so that people can actually see. I just want to make sure that I'm responding to people's questions because I know that people have questions about what it's like to live here or move here. And, that's what I want to be able to provide as answers about that. Let's see. You can turn on the TV and just have it on the background for listening comprehension. Absolutely. No, you're right. You're right. Alex, the Med is salty, even more than the Atlantic. Okay, cool. Well, thank you, Alex. So there is saltwater fishing here. Let's see. Lex to Mex. Okay. Yes, it was 104 today. And I think yesterday was probably about 104 as well. So yeah, super toasty. I did go, like I said, today I went into town to, well, I say that it's like I don't live in a village. I still live in Perpignan, but I went in the city center to meet up with a couple of people that are here, like I said, for a few days to check out Perpignan. And they connected through YouTube, and we decided to meet up today for lunch. And so what's really nice about Perpignan too is that, and maybe you see it in some of the videos I have, is that they've really done a great job of shading sidewalks. And so there are a lot of trees here and a lot of tall trees. And so they provide some great shade. And so that was one thing that was different with Lyon, is that Lyon, in the areas I was in, there were several places that had trees and all that, but not nearly. And of course, Lyon's a far bigger city than what Perpignan is. But Perpignan's done a very nice job of, like, the bus stops, the sidewalks, things like that typically have some shade. Not all of them, but they typically have some shade on them. And so getting around in city center, I can weave my way around and hit shaded areas as I'm walking through type thing. Now it's still 104 degrees outside. It's not like it's that makes it suddenly 75 degrees in the shade, but and with the low humidity, it's low. It's let's see, more than one. I don't know what, some errors come up. I don't know why it's saying that there's dual stream. So I've got some error message that popped up on my screen here. So I don't even know if I'm still live. So if anybody could say that I'm still live, that'd be great. But anyway, it's been warm, but it's actually, it's not a humid warm. So let's see. Linda just looked up flights from Perpignan, just 42 euros to a year. Yeah, it's very cheap to fly around. I just like the idea of doing still live. Thank you, Dana. I just like the idea of taking the trains. Oh, thank you everybody that's been responding with that. Let's see, Janet. I think JetBlue allows 2 pets for 1 person if you purchase an extra seat for the extra underseat cat kennel. That's great. That certainly would save you money. That instead of having somebody come over with you. Let's see, Gerard. Oh, are there? Okay, well, cool. We appreciate that. Yes, please hit the like button if you get an opportunity to do that. So, oops. Okay, I don't want to be clicking people off here. So still live. All right. Well, I think we've gone kind of, and I'm so sorry about that we've gone long enough with this. It looks like some people have dropped off now too. Well, let me go over one more thing that I would have done differently when I came, because this is a fairly simple thing. But it's basically when I went to open up the French bank account. Again, thanks very much to Valerie for helping with all that, because it was all in French, and she handled all the translations for me in that. They were super nice people in that. But but when I went to open the bank account, they asked, very casually, would you like to have a checkbook? And there was no extra charge for it, things like that. But I'm like, oh, no. Everything seems to be by card, or, I can always carry a little bit of cash with me if I need to, and, blah, blah, blah. Well, come to find out that when I went to the vet with Freya, in order to register her in the iCAD system that they have here for registration of pets in France, it had to be an 11 euro check. And now it might have only been my vet, because apparently the vet my friends took their dog to in Nice did not have this. And I think there was the people in Nice that it's like everything was handled. So everything was like charged on their bill, and they just paid for it when they paid for the whole appointment. But I read an article that 70% of the checks issued and used in the EU are in France. And it's true. People still use checks. I've seen people at the grocery store use checks, type thing. And so I ended up having, now everybody waited, there was no panic within the iCAD system of, you need to send this within 72 hours, you need to do this, you need to do that. Everybody was super cool about it. But because I had everything else submitted, it's just I didn't have the check for 11 euros. And so I checked with my bank about getting a counter check, and this might have been a translation issue as well. But they wanted to charge 50 euros to do that check. So I don't know if they were trying to do a cashier's check or a money order or something like that. But I'm like, it's 11 euro check. I'm not going to pay somebody 50 euros for that. So, so in any case, I waited for the checkbook, and it took like 2 weeks to get the checkbook. And so if you open a bank account in France and they ask you about a checkbook, get the checkbook. Just, it doesn't cost you anything extra. And it saves you waiting 2 or 3 weeks for the thing to come in when you find out you need to write a check for something that will not take online payment or cash or whatever type thing. So, but in any case, but anyway, I just want to let people know that was another thing that I would definitely do differently here in France. So, but let's see. Oh, the plumber also wanted the check. Yeah, it just surprises me how many people are still like taking checks. So, and Monsieur is trying to get a business account in France will drive you to drink. I can't even imagine. All right, guys. So I appreciate everybody coming on. Appreciate y'all sticking around, and I hope this was some help to people. And we'll just catch you next week. So until then, au revoir, à bientôt, merci.